And I went up to Ann Arbor in 1969. It was like the last gathering of the tribes. There was the Delta guys, Big Joe Williams and Son House, and he had the urban guys, Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and John Lee Hooker, Magic Sam, Freddie King, all these magical names. And I went up there, and that was it. And I saw some people taking pictures, and I was thinking, man, I want to take pictures of these guys. I want to meet these guys. So really, I got into it to meet the performers. My dad was going to buy me an Instamatic. He worked in Owens Corning, Bill French, who ran the photography lab. And Bill said, no way. So he gave me a Nikon with a 50 lens, and I set out, and first roll of film was totally blank. It was of Luther Allison. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But so I got some lessons and learned. And sometimes I think I just overrode everything. And our friend Pat Adams said, you don't know an f-stop from a stop sign, but your pictures of Kiss are going to pay off someday. I was in my early 20s, and I was footloose and fancy-free. I was totally into music. I was buying albums all the time. And one of the perks of this thing was, there was like no money, but there was like Heineken's and Backstage and free albums, and the whole deal. So it was a very exciting period, And it was like that movie, Almost Famous. I was like that young kid. And you'd be standing around, and somebody grabbed you and say, "Come on, we're going. We're in Cleveland next week." Or we went out to the airport to meet Bad Company, and the limo was there, and they said, "Come on up, get on a plane." See what this whole private jet, and it's all carpeted with shag carpet, only 2 or 3 seats, and it's just stuff you've never seen. It was real innocent. You could approach them. You didn't need a photo pass. When Kiss was here the first time, I spent the day with them, and they were doing a radio interview, and they had 30 tickets to give away, and the new double live album. The people kept calling. They ran out of tickets, and Paul Stanley took everybody's name, probably another 50 people, got them all into the show. And this is how different it was. He took me before the show out front. And he said, "Now listen, I know you're going to take your pictures, but do not get up for the first song. Your head will get blown off." And so I'm down there, like, in the little pit there. Boom, 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 boom. I go, Jesus Christ, he's right, But to have one of the Kiss guys come out and tell you about the show, that would never happen now, you wouldn't get near him. Now, I look at these pictures, and I know this is a weird thought, but I think, God, when I didn't have the camera, what did I miss? Because there were moments, I wasn't thinking all the time, because I'd be relaxed, I'd be sitting there, and hanging out with Muddy Waters, Junior Well, Buddy Guy, and blues guys were always great. That was a whole different experience, because when they were on break, I might be sitting there with them, or I might go out to the car with them, and like Boogie Woogie Red, I'd go sit in his car, and he had 2 NyQuil glasses up on his visor, and he would say, "Let's have a drink." And he goes, "Get that bottle of Canadian Mist out from under the seat." And I'd reach down there, it'd be like 4 or 5 half pints of Canadian Mist, And so we would drink and stuff, and maybe they were all buzzed up, and I'd have to drive them all to get Chinese food in Ann Arbor at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I've accomplished something. When you're out there alone, and your friends are all out partying, or we're going to the football game in Ann Arbor tonight, what are you doing? You say, "Well, I'm going down to shoot Waylon Jennings in a bowling alley in the Colony." Oh man, you're out of your mind. Or, I'm going downtown to take pictures of Elf, and Peter Frampton. So a lot of times I was out there by myself doing it, because I loved it so much. I was just there. I wanted to be there. It wasn't about art. It wasn't about making money someday. It was the moment, and then capturing the moment, and then seeing if the pictures came out. Like I said, I only had proof sheets. I never had any money. He was like, "Oh yeah, those are cool."